Hi everyone, how are you? And welcome to the second ever, I think, Naviate for Architecture webinar ever in Ireland. So we have Jonathan Hand from our kind of partner in the UK who's heading up the Naviate for Architecture and the overall Naviate portfolio. So we kind of have access to this tool that is bolted onto Revit, and there's other tools for Civil 3D and so on. But this event will be just solely focusing on the bolt-on for Revit and the additional features and functions that the Naviate has. So what I'll do is I'll pass you on to Jonathan Hand, who will move on with the demo. But as we said before, if anyone has any questions throughout the course of this, feel free to send them on either in the chat or we can send them by email and we can work away on it then that way. So thanks everyone. I'll just make, I think Jonathan's presenter, so he can move away there from there.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Thank you very much for having me. Welcome everyone this morning. As Sean mentioned, I'm going to take you through a little bit of a look through the Naviate architecture product. So a very, very quick PowerPoint, and then I'll jump straight in to a live demonstration of the product. So for those of you not aware about me, I'm Jonathan Hand. I'm the Naviate technical manager here with Symetri Limited here in the UK. And I've sort of been doing this thing, it says 15, I think it's probably closer to 20 years now at this stage. So always been in and around the software environment, especially the Autodesk technologies. Primarily I've dealt with structural and offsite manufacturing related stuff, but obviously I'm here today looking at more the architectural flavor. So some of my contact details, if you need to reach out, you can get me on my email, my Twitter. Also, don't forget to just check out my my YouTube channel as well. So I appreciate probably Naviate's probably a new term to lots of you guys. With the acquisition of Procad within Symetri, as Sean said, we've got access now to this unique tool set that Symetri offer. So what is Naviate? It's in basic terms, it's a technology ecosystem which enables architects and engineers to focus on what we call valuable work. So doing the things that you should be doing, not the mundane, monotonous things that Revit will have you do. So we're fully integrated into the Revit platform. You will see that shortly. And what we aim to do is maximize productivity and reduce the risk through knowledge, workflow optimization, and business continuity. So Sean sort of mentioned it. We've got this sort of ecosystem of products. It's not just Naviate architecture. There's actually 9 different versions of Naviate for Revit and 3 for Civil 3D. So you've got things like electrical, reinforcement, HVAC, site and landscaping, and then for Civil 3D we've got things like road, pipe, and traffic. So all these things come within the ecosystem, and you sort of choose the discipline area that you wish to focus on. And today, as we said, we're going to focus on Naviate architecture. So I'm going to jump into a live demo, and I'm going to jump straight into my Revit environment. Today, I'm using the very latest version of Autodesk Revit, which is 22.1, which then will have the latest version of Naviate on it. When you subscribe to Naviate, it comes with all previous versions, so from Revit 2022 right back to Revit 2017, should you wish. So it's not just the latest and greatest. You do, when you subscribe, get access to all previous versions as well. So as I sort of said, there's lots of different modules, lots of different areas that Naviate can focus on. Today we're going to focus on Accelerate, which is a general tool set that you can subscribe to as a standalone product. And this is sort of day-to-day tools, irregardless of industry. You can sort of use these. So whether you're architectural, engineering, building services, site and landscaping, these tools on this ribbon will generally be applicable because they're looking at the generic workflows from family content to filtering to coloring elements, sheeting up tools, exporting tools, publishing tools. So all these things are sort of applicable to most people. And then what we have then is discipline specific areas. So the architecture tool set has little tools in there that are for your niche workflows when you're doing architectural. So things like doors and windows, we've got room drawings, pattern editors, create coverings, room data sheets, all these things that you will generally have to do throughout your project life cycle. And then, as I said, we've got site and landscaping tools, structure, HVAC, And as we progress more and more with this product next year, I guess we'll be showing more and more of this technology in the different areas as applicable. So I've got about 50-ish minutes. I could probably demo it all day to you guys. There's over 150 tools within the tool set, and I can't obviously cover everything within the short space. So what I'm going to do is take you through sort of the top 10, 12, 15 tools that we have that are sort of applicable generically across most Revit projects and then your architecture specific areas. So I'm going to jump straight in at the start and look at some everyday tools, things that you will just use every day. So I'm going to pick out 4 or 5 here. I'm going to start with our family browser, and this tool is actually the most used tool from the stats that we get back from usage within the software. And if I jump into a 3D view to show you how it works, it's a very simple way to manage and insert family content into your Revit project. You can probably all appreciate as your projects get bigger and bigger, finding content within the browser, finding it within all the different libraries and locations and folder places that you have content can become a bit of a nightmare. Coupled with when you start using Revit, you can only insert content based upon the command that you choose. So if I choose a wall tool, I have to actually, when I go to load a family, I would have to load that specific family type, which is a bit of a pain. With our family browser, we can simply select the tool and it loads a very simple interface that allows you to load in folders of content from your local drives. So you can see here, I've got a UK folder, which is my sort of out of the box Revit content. You can also add additional folders. So if you've got your own content in different areas, you can simply click the select folder button, browse to your local drive. And in my instance, I've got my own Naviate content folder, and it just adds it in to the library. You can then start to use the family browser. So once you've got your content mapped into the folders, you'll see the way that it works. We can expand each of the drives, and you can see this will then give you a folder structure of the content within your families. So here, if I want to select a window, I can simply choose the window folder, and it will return a search of all the families within that folder. First of all, you get a little graphical thumbnail to show you a preview of the family. If we select that family, you will see it will then load the type and the metadata associated with that family. You'll also get a little sort of update to tell you what the status of that family is. So I can just see we are getting some questions coming in as well, which I will try and address as we go. This one, I've just got a question about the cloud family, which I will just take you through separately after this. So this allows you to find a family, and you can see it's currently not loaded. Now, there's 2 ways to load family content. You can actually right-click it, and you can say load family, and that will then just update that family, load it into your project, and you will see the status icon goes green to tell you that that family is now loaded. You can also use drag and drop technology should the family allow it for placement in the view. So if I want to place this family, I can just drag it into the view, and it will then allow me to simply place it along that elevation of the wall. It just depends which way you want to work. Some people right click and load it. Some people will just drag and drop. You can work either way. What you also get then is the ability to filter. So this is one of the best things for me because you're just not sure where your families are, but you can just type a search term. So here I'm looking for mullions. You will see it reduces the search. So I can select, drill down into my profiles. I can see under curtain wall, I've got these 3 detail items that are sitting here. And again, it's just a drag and drop, and then I can simply place that in the view. So it's a really simple way just to find content, use the search function. So what we've also done is added in a loaded families tab. And this just returns the search for the content within your current project. So you can see that this will then minimize down browser. It will only show the categories of the content that's existing. And then you can just simply go in and use the same type functionality, drag and drop that into the view, and then you can place the content that way. So it's a really nice, simple way to work. You sort of migrate, instead of using the Revit way, just migrate in here, easily find your content, and then typically drag and drop it into your project. So just on the cloud content, for those of you that were keen-eyed, you would have seen that under the Accelerate tab, and if we just escape out of that and not place it, you'll see there's a drop-down, and we've got a cloud browser. So coupled with the family browser, which is local drives, we also have the ability to host cloud content. Now, this is two sort of aspects to it. One is that it allows the Naviate team to deliver content via the cloud, which means it doesn't need a product update. We can simply upload it onto our servers. You can see under the sources, we select the drop down, choose our discipline, choose our region. You can see within the UK, then this returns all the family content that is existing. And then you can filter it on category or the groups. And it's the same process. You can download that content, and then it's a simple drag and drop into the view as well. What we will be coming with is the ability then to cloud host your content next year. So that will then give you the ability then not to have local content, specify a space on the cloud, and then have all your design team from different areas accessing that content. So it's a really nice, neat feature, very simple in the way that it works, and you can probably see why it's sort of the most used tool. Everyone migrates across it because it's so simple and easy to use. The next sort of everyday tool that I want to look at is just filtering. So filtering in Revit is workable, to say at a minimum. I can select some objects, I can select filter, and I can filter by categories. You tend to go check none. Let's select my walls, apply, okay. Find my walls, but I'm not really getting to the piece of information that I want. So let's say I need to drill a little bit deeper, find walls with a particular parameter. I can do that using the Naviate filter. So here I can go filter elements, and it just allows me at the top level to again select a category like I can do within Revit. So I can select all the walls, or I can select the plus sign and I can select the individual types. If I just want to pick this type of wall, I can go select the garage walls, select, and then it will go off and just select them objects within the view. But you can do a lot more with this tool. So I can build sort of advanced filtering rule sets. So if I want to select all my walls, I can do that here, and then this exposes the parameter data, both instance and type, to be available to build a rule to filter it. I can also filter within the view by selecting the elements in the view, looking for family instances. I can do it with all elements. I can do it by zone. So there's a little bit more power rather than just selecting a standard 3D view. But let's build an example of, let's say we want to select some walls with a particular parameter. So here I'm going to select type. Let's select a fire rating. And then it will build sort of a contain section where I can build a rule for how I want to filter. So it's the fire rating parameter. I can select the drop down and choose one of these parentheses to actually which one do I really want to go to. So it's generally going to be equal. And then it will read the fire ratings in use within your project. So let's say I want to select all the walls with a fire rating of 30. Just select my elements, and Naviate will go off and then filter them. And if we use our visibility tool, we isolate them elements, you will then see it's done a selection set of them walls. So if I just reset that isolation and go back and build another advanced rule. So here I could go to filter elements again, and we could build a more complex rule. You can build it with multi-categories if you have common parameters between the two. So you can see I can select both walls and windows and then find a common parameter. So if you're using Kobe data, it's really useful just to find something there. But if I build a simple example, we select the walls, we take a type of fire rating, we choose it to an instance, and then we choose something simple like the length of a wall. You'll see as I build more contained sections in here, I get the option for and or, depending on how I want to build that rule. So here I can go that I want the length greater than, and then it will return all the values of my wall. So I could say everything over 6.4 meters. And the great thing is, as you're building these complex searches, you can then save them. You can save them for reuse. So I can just go JH walls FR 3064. And that will then save that. So you could get a workflow where you could save these common searches and you could save them into your project for anyone to use. So then when I go select elements, I've selected them elements, and if I just go and isolate them, you will see it's actually only selected that one wall length with that particular fire rating. So the reason I start saving these things is if you notice the drop down, I've got this option called quick filter. And this then allows me just to quickly filter my saved searches. So here I could just go select the doors, select OK, and it will just do a very simple selection set of all the doors within my project. So you're starting to get the idea of how we can build this speed into the system, make this easy to find, isolate these elements, and start to manipulate and change that data within your project. It's a really nice, useful tool. One of the big things for us on a daily basis is color elements. Probably gets a lot of everyone is drawn to it because of the image and the logo. It looks quite different to the rest of the ribbon. And what color elements does, it allows me to override the graphics within a view based upon a parameter. So if we put that into a practical example, let's say I wanted to create a fire rated floor plan. So I've got a floor plan here and I want to create a color scheme as such to represent the fire rating for the walls. Instead of going in and building filters and overriding the graphics, I can simply use color elements. So selecting color elements allows me to select a category, then choose a parameter. So if I select type, simply just select the information that I need. So this is a fire rating, and you will see that it quickly builds a color scheme. So you can see that the window is nodeless, so I can click back in and I can review content. You can see builds it with colors, which I can override. So if I wanted a particular color, I can change that color, click back into the view, and it will update and change that information. Now, there are a couple of nice features. It's not just overriding the graphics in view, because I may want to start keeping these changes or make changes around the model as I'm reviewing this content. So one nice feature is this radio button called Show Elements and Properties. What that allows me to do is select a value from the list. It will then return the properties of that value. So I can just edit that type straight away. I can make a change to the fire rating, apply, and OK. So what I've done is I've removed the fire rating. So then I can just hit refresh. And when you start to get non-compliant data within your project, it automatically, when there's a no value set on a search that you're looking for, it turns it red. So you can actually use this as a compliance check, just to check the consistency of the metadata within the project. Really quick and easy to run. Just go into a view, select your parameter, and if there's a no value, it will automatically default to red. But we can also do other things. So there's a nice button here just to override the projection lines, which is just a really simple tool. You can just tick that on and off. But one of the nice things is these two buttons. So you may want to actually, if you're happy with the graphic override that you've created, you can add a view filter. So simply go and add view filter. Just within 2 seconds, add 3 new view filters to that view. So when I close it, I go to my visibility graphics. We go to filters, you will see Naviate has built 3 new filters automatically. Now, it's not hard to build filters, but it is saving you time if you have 100 filters to build. To show you that as an example, if I go to the 3D view, to show you the power of this, if I go to color elements and we do something a little bit strange in the fact we could select all our walls and we change it to, let's say, a length parameter, which we're going to get lots of different lengths of walls. You can see it's just colorized that view automatically. So then I could go add view filters and I count 1, 2, 3 seconds. It's created 116 filters. So when I go to visibility graphics now, you will see filters and it's created all of these. If you were to do that workflow, that would probably take you a couple of hours to go through, build, edit, duplicate, go in, you can see, find that particular rule set, then apply it, then colorize it, and then pattern it. So once you've applied that, you can simply go back into color elements and you can remove the view filter, so that will take it out. You'll also notice there's also an ability. So if we were to take, let's say, the roof, and we do that based upon area, you can add it to a view template. So clicking that button allows you to pick a particular template, and then it can just apply it that way. So you can do it within the view and also add it as a view template. So really quite powerful workflow available with that tool. And you can just apply that into any view in which an element can be colorized. So the next tool I like to look at as an everyday one is adjusting the section box. So section box in Revit is not hard to do. You can tick it on in the view, use the shape handles to start dragging and dropping and controlling that information. But if we look at it within a Naviate perspective, we can actually use the adjust section box tool to go quicker to ideally create 3D views of my levels, which is ideally why I usually go in here. So here I can just pick the levels within my project and I can just quickly go in, select the two levels, and it will then automatically cut the section box based upon that levels. I've also got controls to offset, which is really nice. So if I don't want to use the exact level value, I can put values in here and it just offsets it. And you can use plus or negative values to move it up and down. And a really cool feature is that you can also use scope boxes. So if you've got a large project and you've got scope boxes to split it up, like I have here, where I've got a stair core, I could scope box it first, then I could use my levels. And you can see here, I've created now my little 3D view. And the great thing is instead of duplicating, I can just click create new view, click OK. So that has my initial view, so I can remove the section boxes. I don't really need to have that available anymore. And you can see under working views, I've now got my duplicated view, which has the levels and scope box automatically sort of all set within it. So the final sort of everyday tool I use is just a tool for renumbering. So renumbering simple items. So if we look at an architectural workflow, you may want to number door marks, window marks. You may want to renumber the rooms, grid lines. And we've got a tool here called renumber. And there's two aspects to this. One, it can renumber by selecting an object. So if I select, let's say, a door, I can populate a particular parameter within that door. So I'm going to do the mark value. I'm going to set a prefix of DR. I'm going to pad it with 2 characters. You can see I set a current number. And then it's a simple case of zooming into the model. You will see it's only looking to select the door. It won't select walls or rooms. So I just go door 1, 2. If you've got a number where you're trying to override it and it's already in use, you do get the option. So if you're swapping it, you always swap it and it will renumber the other one. And then I do that. So it's a single click. We close this down, we check the door, review its properties, and you'll see that the door mark is now 01. So a really useful tool rather than manually clicking each one and typing it and you allowing yourself to make mistakes, just use renumber. And if we want to look at using it based upon a spline, which is why I've got some strange model line splines in here, I'm going to do this for a room. I'm going to update the room number. I'm going to say this is room. I'm going to start it at room number 1. I'm going to pick this spline. So the idea of the spline is it follows the path of the spline through the rooms. We'll do a quick calculation and then hopefully it will renumber 29 rooms all in a single go. So rather than you guys having to do this and reorder it, you have got the option to reverse the order should you wish to number in the opposite direction. But I'm happy with what I've got. So that will renumber them. And you can now see close, and you can see I've now got room 29, 28, 27, 26. So it's a really quick workflow to allow you to just add that speed into your project. So there's some really good everyday tools I think everyone would find some use for. I'm now going to jump in and look at some of the architectural tools. So these are sort of, you've got these workflows, it can be quite time consuming and cumbersome. I'm going to start with sort of the big ticket item for me in here is room drawings. So if you have to do room handover sheets, you've got a requirement where you need to create your plans, elevations, your 3D view for each of your rooms. And if you've got this requirement on all your rooms, this is going to be quite a big task. But in Naviate, we can automate that based upon the rooms within the project. So here you can see that it's returning that I have 260 rooms within my project. Now, I could tick them all on, but it will probably take the best part of the rest of the demo to do that because it's going to create hundreds and hundreds of views and sheets. I don't really want to do so. I'm just going to demonstrate it on a single room to show you the speed of it, and then we can look at how it works. So I'm going to pick this kitchen, and you can actually build it to create the views that you want. So here I'm going to say create some elevations. I'm using a particular section type called room drawings. We've got some options to ignore walls of a certain length and then options to draw just the main elevations or all walls. If you've split some walls, we can merge them together because you don't want separate elevations. For that, we then look at, we apply a view template. Do we wish to create a 3D view? Do we wish to create a floor plan? We can enable an RCP if we wish, but in this instance, I'm just going to create these standard views. And then we can automatically then create a sheet and put the views onto the sheet for you. So here I'm going to create a sheet, put it onto my landscape. I'm going to give it a sheet number. And because we can also do browser sorting, I'm going to specify all these drawings go into a sheet parameter called room drawings, so I can easily sort it that way. Simply click create, and then it will go off, give me a little warning about my margins, but I'm okay with that. What it's now going to do is create these views, apply a view template, crop it, create a sheet, and put the views onto the sheet for you. So whilst this is only for a single room, and we could all probably do this in a couple of minutes, but if you've 200 rooms to do, you can say goodbye to the next couple of days doing this type of thing. So this sheet has now been created. I check my room drawings, select my kitchen sheet. We go in and have a look, and Naviate has went in and created a floor plan. It's created some elevation views, and you can set these up depending on how you want your view templates to look. And then again, you can then set up your 3D view. You can configure the view template to make it as nice or as depending on what you want it to do. So again, a really nice, quick, easy way to do that type of thing. What I also want to look at is some of the door and window tools. And we've got a range of different things on each of these drop downs. And if we look at the door tool settings, first of all, so this allows you to configure how we want Naviate to control the parameters around some of your doors. And what we really want to focus on today is these two instance parameters. So Naviate will automatically create some new parameters in the background and populate them into your doors so you can then get more accurate scheduling. So one of the big problems in Revit is a swing direction. You can't actually specify it when you're putting in the door, but you will want to return that on your door schedule. So here we can populate a new parameter, which will then look at the way the door is swinging and populate that into our family. And again, if we need to create some type of unique identifier for that window or a code or door or window code, we can populate that in. So if we start looking at door swing, what Naviate does, it looks at the families. You can then specify the opening direction. So it's left, right, non-applicable, varies, flip state. And then it transcribes that into a code. Here what I want to see is, are they opening left or right? So Naviate will go look at that, then create a parameter and populate all this automatically. We can also do a unique identifier. So if you've got a requirement to produce some kind of code for the door, now you can probably do this through your scheduling, but it's a lot easier here. And we've got some secret stuff where we can transcribe the level and department codes for you as well. So if we want to put a level code in, we want to put the department in, and then I want the sequential number, you'll see this is what the new unique identifier is starting to look like. So we're going to go level, department, and then the number. If we look at the level code, you will see that I can take my Revit level name and transcribe it into my unique code that I wish the client to see. So you can see on purpose, I've put in, some Swedish levels in my project that I don't want them to see, but I can easily transcribe them into level 4. And then I could say this is going to be level XX. Selecting OK will automatically build that sequence. Again, if I'm using departments in Revit, I can then transcribe that into a department code as well. So what I could do is select all of this, and then you could paste it in there and you could copy all of that information. Done in here, you can see that just copies it across, and then we can click OK. So what we're now going to do is get Naviate to drive this parameter behavior. Selecting OK. We'll simply go through and do both them things. You can see now we've updated the settings. Do we want to update the project? We'll click OK to yes, and it's going to go in, build these parameters. You can see that we've updated 239 doors. Should we go into a plan view now, we can check and see what it's done. So go into a floor plan, we click in here, we check our door. You will now see we've now got a new swing direction set to OR, and then we've got our new mark value. Now you can configure Naviate to put that unique identifier wherever you wish in terms of the parameter data within that family. It doesn't have to be mark in my instance. It's just set up in there. So really nice, easy to do. And you can run that tool throughout your system. Now you can see that I've had to run that, but within Naviate, we can automate that via the configure button. You can see in here, we can just get Naviate upon a major milestone event for save, print, export, sync, or manual. And if we have the update doors on, you will see if we saved our project, that update door routine would run. So should we add extra doors or delete stuff or modify it, we can get Naviate to automatically just run that simple routine to update the door, swing direction, and the unique identifier all in a single go. The other tool I want to show you on the door tools is a door drawing. So you may have a requirement where you need to produce a drawing with all your doors on it. In Revit, you would have to go in, probably create a legend, dimension it, tag it, crop it, create sheets, and do all that individually. But in Naviate, we can do it all automatically. So we can select our door drawing tool. First of all, do we want to create a sheet? Yes, it's much easier. We can specify the number of legends per row and the number of rows per sheet. So I'm just going to group it, let's say 5 and 5. We can specify some sheet numbers. Do we wish to create a legend? Yes. Do we wish to add dimensions to it? Yes. We can specify the type ID. We can give it a prefix, create a little schedule, add it to a new sheet, add some viewport properties. We can specify which viewport properties we wish to use. And you can see here, it just reads all the parameters from your door. And then you can then transcribe that with a name, click select save. And then here I can get this going into the door drawings, select run, and now Naviate is just going to automate all of that work for me. So instead of me creating individual legends, setting the scale, placing a legend component, selecting the family, selecting the view, dimension it, label it, tag it, schedule it, then create my sheet, Naviate is just going to do all that work for me. And hopefully in a matter of seconds, there we go. We select close, go to our browser, under door drawings. You can see I've got an interior schedule. You can see here, you may have to adjust some of them slightly, but what it's done is created the door legend for door A, give it a little viewport parameters, and then a little schedule to tell you how many doors are on each level. So again, you know, if you're doing that in Revit, it's going to take you half an hour to do that, whereas I've just done that in a matter of minutes. So again, a huge sort of time saver within the system there. So the final sort of tool I want to show you on architecture is this create covering tool. What this does, if you select a room, it can automatically create a floor covering, a ceiling covering, and wall coverings. So prior to doing this, I'm just going to quickly modify a wall. So I've got sort of a plywood wall type. So if I want to do a plywood lining around a wall, I'm just going to edit it, quickly delete some layers to it, boom, 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 and we'll just quickly put a 15 mil. I'm not bothered about the material, and we can click apply and OK. Probably should have done that prior to the demo. But what I want to do is select some WC rooms and then create a floor, ceiling, and some plywood lining should I wish to do that. Now, if I need to select rooms, the easy way for me is to go to accelerate, select filter elements, and I can build a filter to just select the information that I want. So I've got it saved. So I can select my rooms, scroll down, and I'm just going to select my WC. So I can select all of these. The ideal thing is just hit save. So I've now saved that as an entry. So I can click close. Then if I go quick filter elements, and this is where you're starting to build the speed into Naviate as you're going. So rooms, select elements. There's my room selected. Then go to architecture, create covering. With the room selected, I can then create a floor. So I'm going to say it's a carpet, offset it from the bottom of the room. I can do it from the top, sort of the same as ceilings if you wish, but then I'm going to go to a wall covering, choose my wall type, specify a height. I can offset it from the wall as well. I can look at join status, join to main walls, ignore columns, all this type of stuff. And then ceilings, so I'm going to use a ceiling covering, choose a ceiling type, offset it 2 meters, and then just click create. So what Naviate will now do is do them 6 coverings, 6 ceilings, and then the 36 walls. We select OK, and that's just been really, really easy. So if we pull a section through that to have a look and see what it's done, we could pull the section through here. Let's go in and have a look at the section. If we just drag the shape handle up, you will now see in here, I've got my plywood wall, I've got my ceiling component, and I've got my floor component. So again, we're just automating these manual tasks that you're having to spend hours doing, particularly the wall linings. just painful to go in and draw all these walls again. Whereas within Naviate, we can just run a single tool, and you could select all the rooms in the project, and it would go off and sort of do all that in a single go. So jumping back into Accelerate and looking at sort of areas around information and model management. So again, these are big workflows for us within Naviate. I'm going to start with the ability to edit a parameter. We know that we can select a particular element and we can modify parameters here, but what if we can do this en masse across the project? Editing the parameters allows me to actually pick a category type. So here I'm going to select my walls. You can see I can then pick my instance of type. So I'm just going to choose all my type parameters, select OK. And this sort of brings it into an Excel type matrix environment where it returns all the parameters. These are just single cells which you can click into. You can drag a window, you can delete content, you can add content. So if we were to say this, I want all my walls to be fire rated 30, I can select that in the cell. And then you can notice the little sort of Excel type plus figure. I can drag that down and I can go fill copy, and I can get that information to copy down here. So you can see I've made changes to the fire rating. I've deleted the URL. So then if I just update values, that's writing that change directly back in to that particular category. So a very easy way to append, amend, change, and update any of your family content metadata. One of the nice things in here is the ability to do a window across the screen, do a search and replace by right-clicking, search for INT, and then just replace that with internal. Select OK, and you can see then I've just updated and changed that information. Then when I go update values, you can see that information then has been updated, and I've updated them parameters. So it's a very, very powerful tool to affect and change. You will also see that the screen is now changed in colorization because I've amended that metadata based upon the fire rating value. With that, we also have this combine button. Now, this is really useful if you want to take existing parameter data, combine it together, and create a new parameter and drive that information in somewhere else. So if I show you an example of, I've got sort of this setup with all the Kobe schedules in it. And you can see here, if we jump into, let's say, the spaces or the room information. And you can see here, when you generate sort of the interoperability stuff with Kobe especially, you can see lots of information can be missing. And what we can do at Naviate is we can get Naviate sort of to generate and take the information and generate, let's say, the category or the room tag or the description information by combining existing data within the rooms and driving that behavior. What I can do in Accelerate is to look at combining. So this is where you can select your categories, take the existing content, concatenate it together, and drive a new parameter value into some new destination. So to show you an example of that, I could take, let's say, the windows, and I could look at the type data for the window, and I could, let's say I want to create a new parameter for the rough height and width. So here I can go rough height, rough width. This is going to generate a new parameter called rough height and width, and I can drive that behavior into, in this instance, the comments parameter. And I can go space X space, here I can go space millimeter. And now you can see the rough height multiplied by the rough width. And then I can simply click combine. What it will do is it will drive that behavior into 157 parameters. And if we just quickly check that information, we can see if we select a window, you will see that this new comment section has now been updated. So we can standardize how we can drive the manipulation of the data around the model. But if we look at this Kobe instance, so where this can be really useful is as you're setting up the combining functions is that we can do a batch combine. What batch combine means is that if I'm combining parameters around my project, is that I can save them. So you can see here, I've already saved a setting for a Kobe space description and a Kobe space room tag. Now we can see in the schedule, this information is empty. So we can use the batch combine option to say, drive the behavior of the description and the room tag automatically. So now when I click OK, it will go and update 260 parameters. We click close. You will now see when it refreshes, we've manipulated that data around my model to drive new parameters. And I've just done that in a matter of seconds. So you start to get the idea of what we can do with this data once we can edit it, once we can combine it, and then once we can batch it. It becomes really, really powerful in how you can work within your project. So when we start looking at the editing of information, we also want to start looking at model management, because our models are getting bigger. We may want to start looking at what tools does Naviate offer to help with that information. So when we go and look at the Manage button here under Project, you will see we've got a range of project management tools. The first one I'll want to look at is a project cleanup tool. So this allows you to strip out your model. So if you need to hand over this model on a Friday to other stakeholders for collaboration, for federation, whatever that may be, generally you want to strip the model out and only give them the base information. So if I run the project cleanup tool, it's going to prompt me to save it, because I need to save before I use this function, because in theory, I'm going to strip out the model and I may want to have the original version. So I'm just going to click save. And that will just save the current status on my project and then allow me to run project cleanup. So it's just going to quickly save, and then we'll get through and we'll run. And what project cleanup will do, it will allow me to strip out all the information automatically. So you can see at the top, it automatically defaults to a save as. That means that the current project that I'm working on, although I've saved it, when I run this tool, I can create a separate external version, which is the one that I would want to share. So you can see go save as, we can specify a folder. And this does work with the desktop connector. So if you wanted to go up to BIM 360, you can. There's no issues there. You can run that up and just specify the folder. But in this instance, I'm just going to keep it local. You then control what you want to delete effectively. So what model views, what sheets, what revisions, schedules, links, imports, scope boxes, view filters, images. Then you simply select, yes, I want to clean up my project. Then you click clean up. So instead of you going through on the Friday afternoon, like we all do, and going, okay, I need to create a model for coordination, and then you have to start going through the views, sheets, and stripping all the other stuff, all your work in progress stuff out. We can simply just run this tool, and in about a minute, it will automatically do that for you. And the great thing is it spits out a model into that folder, or to BIM 360, as I said, and you can continue working. We'll just let it run and finish. You can see that's now done, and then we can continue working. One other tool I want to show you today is the View Filter Manager. So you can see in this project, I've created hundreds of view filters. And as you get bigger and bigger and longer into your project, you're going to have the same, but you're going to want some way to quickly look and see where these are in use. So if you can go, I've got a wall structural. You can see if I scroll down, it shows me via tick boxes where that view is in use. I can also show it in view templates, and it allows me to just simply, if I don't want it in a view template, I can tick it off. If I don't want it in a particular view, I can tick off the top level, and you can see you can just easily manage. What you can also do is use it to strip out filters. So you can see here, I've got loads in here that aren't in use. So they're the ones that I did on the wall volume at some point. So if I just select all of them, select delete, yes. Now obviously in our project cleanup tool, it stripped them out before we saved it, but this is the live project. So I can use this just to work through my model. It's a really useful tool to see where everything is, and you can just manage and work it that way. So I use that quite a lot just to see where everything is within my project. So if we just exit out of that little tool set and we start to look at the manage tool set for sheeting. So again, everyone has this problem of when they start going to create sheets, how do they do it? How do they manage revisions? How do they do all this type of stuff? And we've got some key tools in here. One of the big things we use quite a lot is create sheets from plan views. Now in Revit 2022, if you're on a project that's using it, we can obviously now right click on a sheet and we've got the options to duplicate from an empty with detailing and views, which is great, but Revit 2022 only. But in Naviate, we've had this tool for years where we can just create sheets from a plan view. And it allows me to just select, let's say in this instance, some area plans. It then gives you a little preview of what the title block metadata needs to be, and you can just use Control C, Control V type things to just give these particular names. And we can go design by, check by, and up the top I can just say, well, I'm just going to blame Sean for checking it and Sean for approving it. He's going to get the blame when invariably my project's not particularly good. But you can see you can set it at the top level. What we really want to do in this tool is select the views, select the sheet type or a template that we want to use. Then we want to place the views in a particular area. So I'm just going to go center to center and select create sheets. All I've really done is picked 5 sheets and let Naviate do its work. So if we have to do this manually in Revit for 5 sheets, not particularly hard. But if you have 100 sheets, this is going to get quite time consuming. So you can see now 5 new sheets are created. We can select close. We go to our sheet browser. You will see there are my new sheets. We click into sheet 111. We close the other views. And if we go in and look at sheet 12, and we just tile them windows, you can see here, this is what we've got. So that's great, really simple and easy to use. But one of the really nice features that Naviate has is the age-old problem of if I do that and I move that view to here, usually I may want to align all the different floors to be in the same position. Now in Revit, there's no great way to do that, whether you're using grid lines, model lines, it's always a bit of a fudge. But if we look at Naviate, we've got the Edit Sheet Parameter tool. This is designed originally to edit the sheet parameters within the title blocks, which is great. So you can see here, I can pick all the area plans I've just created, and I can update any of the information that I want. But what I can also do is use this button to show a view location. So in here, this returns the X and Y of my viewports, which is great because this gives me the actual coordinates for where this sits. So here I can just select this. I can go fill copy and I can select this one, fill copy, and then just update sheet, and all them views automatically move across to the same position on all sheets. Another great tool in here is the Legend Manager. So clicking into Legend Manager will then allow me to automatically control and manage where my legends are being used. So it just does a quick scan. You'll see these are the door legends I created as part of the door drawing. So I could select door number 8, apply that in to all the plan views, do the same with 9. You can see that's just updating the quantities. Then I just click apply, click OK, close, and you'll see all my door legends are now on my sheets. And again, if you edit sheet parameters and look at the view locations, it will also return the values for the legends and also any schedules that you should put on. So you can see here now I've got X and Y. It's a really nice way to manage, control, align all that viewport information within your system. So if we exit out of that and we start looking at some of the other tool sets, particularly around exporting and printing. So we've got a publish tool within Naviate, and this is designed to build configurations for when you need to export your project. So whether it be to paper, to PDF, to DWG, IFC, and I'm just going to delete everything that's in here. And I'm just going to build it all from scratch to show you how simple it is. So we've got no settings and we've got no configurations. So let's say Sean is my BIM manager and he needs me to produce this on a Friday out to PDF. So I simply go print, give it a name, and then I configure that export. So I click configure, and that's the same case of just picking how you normally would do it in Revit. So I'm going to print the PDF. I'm going to choose a sheet set. You can use a sheet list, views, whatever way you want to print. I then want to put it out into this folder. I want to create them as separate files. I want to use a naming convention. So if you're aligning to ISO 19650, you just pick the parameters that you've built within your project. In this instance, I'm just going to pick some standard project, some values, and then I can build what that actual file name is going to be, and then I select OK. So that is now configured to export a print PDF. I could also build a DWG. So if Sean wants some DWG files, I go to configure. Again, I just build it the way that I want. So I'm going to tick this. I'm going to use a naming convention, and again, I just build it, and that's going to create them DWG exports based upon the standard Revit DWG export. If you also wanted an IFC file, again, I can click in here, choose a coordination view setup, choose the 3D views, and we want to select this one. And now we've configured Naviate to do that. If we wanted Navis, we can go in here again. We can configure that Navis export. So we go in and choose our views, specify a folder, and you can keep going and building these. There's also a specific PDF one which doesn't need a driver. So again, same principle, you go in, give it a file name, do all that information, you can select the info, all that type of stuff, and you build as many of these as you want for the different things that you need to export. And then you just come in and you can click publish and it will go through. You can override everything and put them into a project folder, so it will take all the folder locations and drive that behavior into a single place. It does work with putting stuff into BIM 360 as well through the desktop connector. And then you simply click publish and then off it goes and then publishes it, and you can just build them routines. So instead of going in on the Fridays as we do and spend an hour doing it, we can just automate that in a single click. And one of the final things I want to show you is that we can also import and export out to Excel. So if we want to export content out, so it takes the schedule data that we have. So I'm going to go with, let's say, a window schedule. And I'm going to use the format for re-import. That means I can edit it in Excel. So if I export that out, and I just say Win Procad, it's going to launch Excel and allow me then to manipulate the data, or I can send that to someone within the ordering team or whoever it is. And you can see here, I can just tick out that comment section. We can delete that out and we can just put in Naviate rules, and then we can just drag that content right up and copy it up there. So then I just hit save to the file, close it down, go into Naviate again, export, import, go to the import, pick files to import, find my desktop, choose the Procad Excel file, import the window schedule, then click import, no errors, and just to double check that we've done it correctly, we go to a floor plan, we have a little look at a window, and what we should then get is, you can see very quickly I've been able to export it out of Excel, update some information, import it back in, and then I've updated my complete project. That is probably sort of the end of everything that I've time to show you. It is a whirlwind of Naviate. There's a lot more in terms of, we've got IFC, we've got Builders Works openings, we've got things like a pattern editor, curtain grid designer, we've got wall data, alignment tools, room copy, room data, lots of stuff that we can explore for the webinars. But that, Sean, I think is probably as much as I can get done within a lot of time. So I will sort of hand back to you.
That's brilliant, Jonathan. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
We've three questions there. One was, in relation to the family browser, can comments be added to a specific component by a Revit user to highlight if the family is broken, requires modification, or needs attention?
No, it's just basically a way to insert and edit the content. Now, what we could do is, when you're looking at family content, you could look at the edit parameters to maybe view it and look and see whether there's errors, but it's not actually checking for anything like that.
All right. The next one was, do you remember the door swing tool as well? In regards to the doors and swing direction parameter, how is mirrored doors identified? Would I be correct in saying if the door is mirrored, the parameter won't match? He said he has the same issue with windows being mirrored and not matching schedules.
I would need to check that. I think you might be right. You might be right. If somebody's mirroring something, then it's obviously going to take the existing metadata. Let me check it and see.
You're going to have separate families or so on. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think
there was another thing about price, but we can discuss that with people afterwards. There's also a 20% discount from today until the 15th of December on a Naviate license. So, but we can, if anyone has any interest, there's also trials can be taken as well, and we can contact people as well and go through it. There's also a poll as well if we want to just kind of get the polls going. Just a quick couple of polls, and we'll sort it from there. Yeah. So will I start it there, Jonathan,
Do you
just
want to do
to
them,
get the
Sean?
polls?
Do you want to do
Yeah, I
them?
don't mind. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
see if I
go for it.
can. Yeah. So if anyone could just answer these polls, we'd be able to get more insight into what you want to achieve out of Naviate. We let them run for a few seconds. And also we'd be able to do more one-on-one bespoke demos as well if there are some other features that you'd like to
Yeah, it's
kind of
very hard
focus
sort of
on.
in a generic one to cover everyone's sort of
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
workflows and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, if anyone does want to explore it in any more detail in any area, just reach out to myself or Sean. We're more than happy. That's predominantly the way we do it in the UK as well, is that most people go, actually, can you look at these areas specifically for us? So these are the challenges that we have. How can
Yeah.
Naviate help? And then when we do a one-to-one, it's much more tailored.
Yeah. It's just yeah, as you said, there's a lot in it to try and showcase.
I could literally be here all day. I think I could probably get a good 7, 8 hours out of it. I'd be drained, but yeah, there's it's such a broad tool set, and when you look at some of the tools, they can be adapted to many different workflows. So that color
Yeah.
element tool, you could do lots of different things. The edit parameter tool, you can do that could be adapted into. I know, and combining 3 or 4 Naviate things together then can sort of automate that particular workflow. So it depends on what your challenge is, I guess.
Yeah. And like as you said, the main benefit of this is the speed.
Yeah,
Because like
if you've got them big ticket items, so if you need to do room handover sheets and stuff like that, it's a no-brainer because you can see the speed that's there.
yeah,
It all depends on, what we try to do is, take away that monotonous, repetitive stuff that you're doing in Revit, and we know everyone has to do. So things like, even if you're printing, publishing, even if you're editing parameters, Kobe data, project cleanup, all these things that you're spending, and you've just taken for granted now that this is something that you have to do because you're mandated into it, it's in your BEPs,
yeah,
and you forget that you really shouldn't be doing it. You really want these things automated, and that's sort of why Naviate has existed. That it's all based on client feedback. That you guys have challenges, we listen to them, we then go and develop it.
yeah. And I was also online there the other night, and there was a company looking at trying to move all of their templates to the cloud. And as you said there in the demo, it's a feature that you can achieve it through. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. It's just such a simple, especially now in these times as well, where you have to mobilize.
yeah,
That cloud browser is giving people, without investing in other technology, you can just go there. It's a simple, robust way to do it, and it's done. And then everyone sort of, you don't have to, VPN and all that other stuff that you might need to do infrastructure wise.
yeah, yeah. And at least you're ensuring that no one is going off downloading different families and putting them into your
Yeah, which
models.
is,
It's
that's the big challenge, to manage this content, make sure people are using the right family, the right version, the right content from the right locations. Otherwise, you're getting projects which are messy.
yeah. Just finishing off some of these polls. I think there's only 2 or 3 left. 2 left actually. Yep. I'll leave it up for another 2 seconds. I'll close this one. And like it's a product that no one in the Irish industry is aware of, to what I can think of, and I can see
Yeah, I
some
mean,
unbelievable
I've,
features in it.
I've I've taken ownership of it in the last year, and me and you have been around the Revit game for years, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah,
And I mean, I've did a couple of videos on Naviate about 4 or 5 years ago on the structural side when it was reinforcement stuff. It's sort of their
yeah,
best kept secret. They've got this product that when you look at it, not everyone's fully aware, and that's sort of why we're doing these things. Now we've got exposure to the tools. It's just, because the value's there, you can see it. It's easy to use, it's embedded in Revit, and it's looking at workflows that everyone has challenges with.
yeah,
It's just driving that exposure. But this time next year, Sean, everyone will know about it, won't they?
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's
Me
good.
and you'll be banging the drum, won't we? So yeah, it's a fantastic tool. So you it's just looking and identifying them key workflows that are challenging for everyone.
Yeah, excellent. So thanks everyone. We also have a recording of this as well. And if anyone was unable to attend or would like a recording to share amongst your wider team, we'd be so willing to, happy to send it on. Just to mention, the sale is on at the minute. If anyone is interested in it, there's a sale between now and the 15th of December. Just send myself or anyone from Procad or Symetri an email, and we'd be delighted to look at it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Speak soon, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Have a good day.